What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my first impression and analysis of the first Summer Banner that we have got. And we have got Summer Dimitri as the first unit. So he's an Axe Cavalier this time, even though his weapon kind of looks like a lance. It's an axe, and this definitely makes him a pretty unique unit because of his power and his preferred weapon. So Unyielding Ore gives him Nia Trace built into this weapon. It's not a full Canto, it is going to be Canto remaining +1. And he has got -1 special cooldown, so Glimmer becomes a 1-turn special, and then he can get +5 to all of his stats. Now the main advantage of this weapon is that this is a conditional brave weapon, provided that the opponent has got a bonus active on them, or he has got 10 more speed than the opponent. If those conditions are met, then he can get the brave effect, which is going to be really strong with Atrocity that he has got in his slot B. So with Atrocity, he's able to get the true damage and then just have the brave effect with this weapon, and also trigger 2 cooldown specials like Glimmer and Ruptured Sky on his second hit, which is definitely going to be making him a very powerful tank buster. He does have Glimmer, attack speed catch 4, and also Atrocity of Legendary Dimitri in his slot B, and Atrocity does give him true damage based on 25% of his attack, and then he does have the Omni Smoke and the Pulse Smoke built into this weapon. So this will make him a really good hit and run unit for many game modes, and in Summoner Duels, many people do use blue units like Note or like Legendary Dimitri as their frontliner. So going in with this kind of green Cavalier and then pulse smoking them down with the Atrocity is going to be helping you a lot, as you can just get rid of the Hardy Fighter armors and their pre-charged specials. So he can be a really solid hit and run unit in that game mode, and also in Aether Raids offense, because again, Hardy Fighter armor units are kind of common, and also pre-charged specials. And because this is on a Cavalier, he has got a permanent 3 movement unlike Legendary Dimitri. And then he has got Speed Defense Menace, which will have good synergy with the Cat skill and can get him started, and it can definitely help him meet that speed check against the opponents who are not buffed up. So this kind of weapon and the preferred skill make him into a top tier Axe Cavalier in my opinion, and he's definitely going to be a very solid unit. Even as a one-off copy, he's going to be hitting really hard. Now because he has got Atrocity in a slot B, you cannot really run a flow skill like Flow Guard to give him null follow-up so that he can quad attack. But still, even against the units who have got follow-up negation, he's going to be able to hit them pretty hard with this brave effect. The main troublesome opponents are going to be the fast opponents who don't have any kind of buff on them. So you cannot really control the enemy buffs. You just have to hope that there is enemy buff on a very fast unit that he's not going to be able to meet the speed check against. So that is going to be a troublesome matchup for him. But in the game modes where visible buffs are common, he's going to be able to get the brave hits really consistently and hit extremely hard. Dimitri can also function really well as a Gale Force unit because he does have the -1 special cooldown, so Gale Force becomes a 4-turn special, and you can just run Heavy Blade as the Sacred Seal. And because he does hit pretty hard because of the true damage, you're not going to be missing out on the damage output too much compared to the other units thanks to the true damage. So he can function really well as a Gale Force unit, or as a tank buster, or as a hit and run unit. So overall, he's going to be a really solid Axe Cavalier. And I do expect him to have somewhere around like 40 base attack, because most Dimitris do have high attack, and he's probably going to be having good speed as well, because this weapon does depend on a speed stat, especially against the fast opponents who will not have any kind of visible buff. So it is definitely going to be helpful, and then he's probably going to be having low resistance. So that is going to be Summer Dimitri, definitely a very solid Axe Cavalier. And then we have Summer Micaiah, and this time around she is a colorless mage cavalier. So we only have one movement type left with Micaiah, and that is the armored version. So she can hit really hard because of being a colorless nuke. She doesn't really have a weapon strangle disadvantage except for the Raven Tomes, and with Moonlight Drip, her preferred weapon, she's going to be able to get the effective damage against armored and cavalry opponents, which is the trademark Micaiah effect, so she still has it. And this does give her -1 special cooldown, so Moonbow becomes a 1-turn special. And if the opponent does not have guard, then she's going to be able to hit them with the special on her brave hit, and that just improves her nuking potential even more. And with this weapon, she's able to get +6 attack and resistance in combat. And then she's got a resistance check in her weapon, which can give her 2 effects depending on the extra resistance that she has compared to the opponent. So if she's got 5 to 14 extra resistance than the opponent, then she can get an auto follow up. But if she's got 15 or more resistance than the opponent, then she's going to be able to get the brave effect in the player phase. So this effect can definitely help her nuke really well, because Micaiah is usually going to be slow, So the auto follow-up can help you against the bulkier opponents that hopefully she can tank with the damage reduction of Prescience, and against the units who she has 15 more resistance than, she's going to be able to get the Brave effect. Now again, some of the far safe tanks are going to be stacking a lot of resistance, so sometimes it is going to be a bit hard for her to get the Brave hit, but still overall she's going to be functioning really well as a nuke, and the resistance check in this weapon is going to be in combat. So all of the in combat debuffs from Prescience, the extra resistance from her weapon, and attack resistance catch is going to be helping her. Aside from Brave Hector and Ascended Udun who do not have the armor weakness, she's going to be able to nuke really hard against a lot of the far safe tanks with her Brave hit, because a lot of far safe tanks do run Hardy Fighter and Aegis, and she's going to be able to still do a lot of damage to them because of the Brave effect that she's got. So on her Brave hit, they're not going to be having the damage reduction from Hardy Fighter, but if they run Deflect Magic, then it is going to be a lot easier for them to tank Micaiah. So I think we're going to be seeing Deflect Magic even more now, because we have got a Ninja Korin, Winter Lysithea, and now the Summer Micaiah, who all have these kinds of Brave effects. So for a lot of far safe tanks, it could be really hard for them to tank this. So Deflect Magic Sacred Seal is going to be their savior, and Micaiah can only pierce through that damage reduction, so that's something you have to watch out for. But overall, she's going to be a really solid nuke, and there's just no way that a Cavalier nuke that is colorless and has this Brave effect with effective damage is not going to be a strong unit. So she also has Maiden Solace and Prescience from her legendary version. Maiden Solace I guess could be helpful in arena if you do plus and merger, and then she also has Moonbow and attack resistance catch, and Prescience is definitely going to be helpful with that debuff to opponent's resistance and attack and that damage reduction. But she can always run the FOD trace, because unlike Dimitri and Claude, she doesn't really have a trace skill built into her weapon, so AR FOD trace could be an option, but Prescience does have that damage reduction. As for stat spread, she's going to be having the typical Micaiah spread where she has got high attack and high resistance and then low defense and speed. Resistance definitely matters a lot for her here, because she does have that resistance check in her weapon, so meeting this is going to be a really important thing for many matchups, so that she can get the Brave effect and hopefully kill the opponent before they kill her. And despite having Prescience, her bulk is not going to be too high, especially on the physical side, so you definitely have to watch out against the distant counter armor units and such. And we can see her nuking this Green Thief. So yeah, Summer Micaiah is also a very solid one-off unit like Summer Dimitri because of her damage output and her nuking potential. And then we have the 4-star focus unit of this banner in Summer Claude. So you might have thought that we might not have gotten a 4-star focus, but despite him having a preferred weapon and Fallen Star, he's still a 4-star focus. So he is a Blue Dagger Flyer this time around, and this makes him into a hybrid of Legendary Claude and Ninja Lin. So Frozen Delight, his weapon, gives him FOD Trace, so he's got the Canto remaining, so it is not a flat Canto, and he does have -1 special cooldown with this weapon. So Moonbow becomes a 1-turn special and Lethality becomes a 3-turn special. He can get +6 attack and speed in combat, and then he can also get the Brave effect in the player phase if the total sum of bonuses on him and the penalties on the opponent is equal to 12 or more. So this is pretty easy to meet as long as you can buff up Claude for 2 of his stats, like with Hone Flyers or Attack and Speed Tactic, or you can consistently debuff the opponent. So it is actually not that hard to consistently get this Brave effect on Claude. And with this weapon and the Fallen Star in his base kit, I would say that he's easily one of the best 4-star focuses, if not the best one that we have ever gotten on a seasonal banner. Because you can plus and merge him in around 400 to 500 orbs, and he's still gonna be a really strong unit despite not having Fail Not giving him that null follow up. So he can get the Brave effect from this weapon to hit really hard, and also get the Canto from his weapon. And a lot of range flyers don't really have too many good slot B options, so having Fallen Star is really good so that, you know, he can just get that 80% damage reduction and also get the gravity effect. So he's gonna be really useful for hit and run with the Canto in his weapon, and also the gravity that it gives in his slot B, because even Legendary Claude cannot get Fallen Star and the Fortress skill at the same time, but this 4-star focus, Summer Claude can do that. So definitely a very good unit, and even for his fodder, he has got Speed Defense Rain, which is a really amazing skill for any kind of offensive flyer. So overall, he's a fantastic 4-star focus, which a lot of people are going to be trying to plus and merge, including me because I'm a big Claude fan. and he's also a very solid unit here. So for his stat spread, I think he's going to be having around 36 base attack from what I calculated, and he's going to be having pretty good speed because that is definitely needed with this kind of weapon so that he can quad attack in the player phase. So 40 base speed is going to be pretty nice, and then his bulk doesn't really matter too much because he does get that insane 80% damage reduction. Now of course we do have a lot of damage reduction piercing specials and weapons, but still this is going to be giving him far better longevity than any other ranged flyer because the 80% damage reduction is really helpful as you attack, and if you quad attack then he can hit even harder. He can also run lethality, but because of not being an infantry unit, it's not that easy to pre-charge it, and flyers don't have access to flashing blade, so he cannot really spam lethality that easily, but still it is going to be a very good special on him because of the -1 special cooldown in his weapon. It's just that he doesn't have the null follow-up, so a lot of times against some tanky far-save units who have follow-up negation, he's not going to be able to kill them, especially if they have the guard effect with their kit. So he will not be able to trigger his special, and he just eats his popsicle and takes out this red mage. I love that animation. And then we have the star of this banner in Summer Edelgard. So this is a harmonized version with Altina. So this applies to 3 houses and Radiant Dawn, and she is a sword armor this time. So I really like the fact that the 3 houses lords have different weapon types here, unlike the Brave version and the Legendary version, so I'm a big fan of it. And Edelgard looks absolutely amazing here, and even as a unit she's going to be really strong and very unique. So we do know her stat spread from the trailer itself. She's got 190 BSD and she's really min-maxed as a unit, having high base 45 attack and also having good mixed bulk. So Summer Edelgard has got Regal Sunshade as her preferred weapon, which gives her -1 special cooldown, and she can get +6 attack to herself and inflict -6 attack debuff on the foe during the combat. It also gives her 40% damage reduction on foe's first attack, and this can be really strong, especially if she wants to run an enemy phase build. And then she can get Brave effect in both phases depending on the foes that she has in 3 columns or 3 rows centered on her. So let me explain this effect. So this effect is proportional to the foes that are present on the map. So this is going to be something that is going to be checked at every combat. So for example, in Arena and Summoner Duels, you have 4 or 5 foes at start of the map. So she will need 2 foes in her 3 column and 3 rows range so that she can get the Brave effect. And then in Aether Raids offense, for example, where people are going to be having 7 opponents, you're going to be needing 3 foes in that range of 3 columns and 3 rows. So honestly, this is a pretty flexible condition, and she does have a huge range with this weapon. It's just that you have to keep in mind that the lower opponents that are present on the map, the lower foes she will need in her range. The more opponents that are on the map, she's going to be needing more foes in her range. So like I said, it is proportional to the foes present on the map in that moment, and it just changes with that. So it is pretty dynamic in that aspect. And then she's got Glimmer and Attack Defense Ideal 4. She also has Raging Storm as her slot B skill. So this is going to be extremely good for giving her another action in the player phase, and this also lets her have the auto follow up against dragons and the beast units, so she can easily quad attack them with her preferred weapon and then Raging Storm. She also comes with a new line of skill in Assault Troop 3. I think this is probably going to be an armored locked skill, so this skill does activate if your unit is at full HP or if there's any foe in the 3 column or 3 row range of the unit, and they're given the charge as a status effect. So we can actually see this in the action, and this charge status effect allows the unit to move 3 spaces in any cardinal direction. You can not only move diagonally, and this effect is counted as a warping effect. So Gatekeeper and, Legendary Merc can basically stop this kind of effect, and we do see this in action. So you can only move diagonally, and that's pretty much the drawback of this effect, but you do have increased range in the cardinal direction, so that is a huge thing. And I think this is definitely going to be really helpful in our player phase for Aether Raids offense, for Gale Forcing with Raging Storm and by running Gale Force as our special. So this effect ends up being pretty good for a player phase armor unit, which there are not too many of, and Summer Edelgard is definitely one of the best ones in that regard because of getting this Brave effect. And her weapon actually gives her -1 special cooldown, which is going to be helpful for having Gale Force as a 4 cooldown special. So if you run Heavy Blade as a Sacred Seal, then she can easily trigger Gale Force in 2 hits of her Brave weapon. and then she can get the Raging Storm, and that's going to be another action. So she can function really well as a player phase armor unit, but you cannot really ignore the fact that she can also function really well as an enemy phase armor unit. So Summer Edelgard is extremely versatile in my opinion, and can function in a completely different role as well if you ditch Raging Storm for a fighter skill like Crafty Fighter, Slick Fighter, or Special Fighter, and then you can run a save skill like Far Save or Near Save in her slot C. The reason being is that she has a dual phase brave weapon, and she also has a damage reduction, so she can be a really tanky armor unit with a save skill and also hit really hard because of the brave effect. So she ends up becoming like a premium Arden in a way. Arden is a really good tank because of his brave weapon, and same case applies to Edelgard as well if she chooses to run an enemy phase build. And I can definitely see her being popular in Summoner Duels and even in Aether Raids defense as a save tank. She can definitely function with that too, but she can also function as a player phase armor, so you definitely have a lot of options with Summer Edelgard in my opinion. She can also be a Gale Force initiator in Aether Raids offense by running Double Fury build, and the extra actions are going to be extremely helpful here. And as a save tank, she can be really strong because of the brave effect, and if she's got Special Fighter or she's running Steady Breath, then she can basically retaliate back with Ignis or Aether on her brave hit, and that is very powerful. And she can destroy a lot of the opponents, especially if you have experienced Arden, then you know that this kind of brave weapon is extremely powerful for an enemy phase unit as well. So Summer Edelgard ends up becoming a really good unit who's very versatile, can function in so many playstyles, and overall she's going to be a really good unit that a lot of people are going to be trying to pull. She also has her Harmonic skill, which basically gives the +6 attack buff and the bonus doubler to the allies from Radiant Dawn and 3 houses, and I think we're going to be seeing this a lot more in Summoner Duels, where it's really easy to use these skills compared to something like Aether Raids offense. So yeah, Summer Edelgard is very solid, and she does have really good stat spread, very min-maxed, 190 BST armor unit with potentially 3 movement with her Slotsy skill, and a dual phase brave weapon that has got damage reduction as well. So really excited for her to see what she can do. And then we also have the Tempest Trial unit on this banner, and that is going to be Summer Elincia. And we can also see that she is a blue flying archer. So blue flying archer is definitely pretty unique for a free-to-play unit, and unfortunately she doesn't really have a preferred weapon like the other units from the banner, but she ends up having a pretty nice inheritable weapon in White Cap Bow Plus. So this gives you +5 attack and speed in combat, and this is going to be a conditional brave weapon. So if you've got 10 more speed than the opponent, then you can get the brave hit, and this is a 12 might conditional brave bow, keep in mind. So it might actually be refinable, and this could be given to a lot of archers that are your merge projects that are really fast. So as long as you can have 10 extra speed than the opponent, you're going to be able to get the conditional brave bow effect. And then she has got drawback, attack speed bond 3, and attack speed link as her passives. So her fodder is actually pretty nice with this bow, and also attack speed link, which we didn't really have before in the Grail pool. So this is the final link skill I believe that we wanted to have in the easily accessible pool. So that is Summer Elincia, and I think that she's probably going to be having similar stat spread to Summer Claude, where she ends up having 36 base attack and definitely pretty good speed, but she's probably going to be having higher resistance than defense, I think. This banner is actually going to be lasting for a very long time until August, so you have plenty of time to save orbs and try and pull for these units. And overall this banner is very solid. All of these units are really good as a one-off copy, and they are going to be strong with their conditional brave effects that they've got. That seems to be the theme of this banner, and that is very powerful for nuking. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and a comment, helps you tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks or by becoming a YouTube member. And for more FEH videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I wish YouTube sub boxes were about as good as these banner units. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.